I have a wish to read books that I enjoy, but the internet is filled with overhyped series, tier list opinions that are just parroted from one creator to the next. My goal is to have a TBR that is uniquely mine, not the algorithm's interpretation of everyone else's voice. So, this series is all about those books. Recommendations from local bookstore shoppers and employees. Here are the rules. Books have to be found in the store that I go to. I cannot leave. I cannot do anything without having a book to read from that store. I have to pick up a book on every trip outside of my local area, especially if there is a local bookstore either on the way or in the specific area I'm going to. Number 3, I have to promote the store that I bought the book in. Obviously, I'm trying to support small local bookstores. Number 4, I have to prioritize this TBR above any other books that I want to read. So it really helps if there's a book that I really want to read and I find it at a local bookstore. It's a win-win for everyone. Hopefully you guys enjoy this series, and I can't wait to get into all these magical books with you. Alrighty, back to the series we go. So I love reading books without really reading into what the story is about. This one is really no different. I picked this up at a local used bookstore. It's by Neil Gaiman. They had a very small selection of books at this used bookstore, but I had heard good things about Neil Gaiman. I'd never actually seen this book, so I'm very interested to read this. This is one of those books where I do have a little bit. The guy who told me to look into this artist, when I told him this was the book that I picked up, he kind of explained that it was like a children's Jungle Book take by Neil Gaiman, but instead of being raised in the jungle, the kid is raised in a graveyard. So I do know a little bit more about this book than I traditionally do. We just finished the last book, which was book 2 of The Wheel of Time, and now we're gonna do palate cleanser with this book, the Graveyard Book. Let's get into it. Alrighty, we are about not quite halfway done with the book. So far, it's really good. You have this baby at the beginning, or this family who is, murdered essentially at the beginning. The parents get killed. The baby escapes and makes its way into the graveyard. The parents, now being dead, meet with the ghost of the graveyard and kind of like, hey, you're going to have to take care of my baby for me, because they're going to go and be buried somewhere else. So they can only stay with where their body's buried. So they won't be there. So one of the ghosts agree to take care of their son. And essentially that's where you meet Bode, or Nobody, but his nickname's Bode. That's where you meet him in the story. And then the next chapter is like him a little bit grown up, probably about 10, 12 years old. And he meets a friend who he invites to go and explore the graveyard. He also has the ability to go through walls like a ghost, even though he's alive, because he's given permissions of the graveyard. So he's got the ability to just go into buildings and stuff. The friend that he meets isn't able to do those things. They have to actually get a key for her to follow along. And then they end up finding this room with some treasures in it. Bode, there's the graveyard attendant, for lack of a better word, who is kind of helping him, brings food, does all those things. Does the physical stuff that the ghost can't do, because the ghost can't provide food and those things. He has to leave, so then he gets this new lady who comes in, who helps him learn some things about the ghost world that he's in. While they're in the graveyard, there's a section of the graveyard where people are buried, but they don't have headstones and stuff. And they're normally either bad people, or this one person is a witch. But she's super nice. She heals. Bode hurts himself, hurts his leg, and she heals his leg. And in order to repay her, he is on this mission now to get her a headstone, so that way she could be remembered. He went back down to the vault place they found earlier, and he took a brooch so he could go sell it. And then when he went to go sell it, the guy that he went to go pawn it off to doesn't seem to be the greatest of guys. He is essentially whatchamacallit? He's essentially trying to scam the kid and buy it from him for very cheap. And then also he remembers hearing a story or getting a card from a guy named Jack, who was the murderer at the beginning of the story, wasn't able to finish the job that he was tasked to do, so he wasn't able to kill Bode at the very beginning. The shop owner basically locks him into this room, and that's essentially where I'm at currently. Is Bode's locked in this room. The shop owner is trying to buy this brooch from him because it's a very unique brooch. He's trying to get it for a good job, for a good price, and then he also is going to potentially call this Jack guy and let him know that he has found this boy that he's been looking for. And that's essentially where we're at so far in this book. Overall, it's actually a much better book than I thought it was. When I heard that it was like a Jungle Book version, but in a graveyard, I didn't know what exactly that meant. And I was thinking it was going to be even more childish or more of a child book, when it's really not that bad. It's definitely young adult, but I don't know if I would want like a 10-year-old reading this book, but maybe like 16, 15, 13-year-old. This might be a great book for them, especially it's got a little bit more mature, talks about suicide, talks about things like that. So I don't know if I'd want like a little kid, but definitely could be an audience out there that is a little bit more on the youth side to read this. I would recommend this for anybody. This is not like that childish of a book. Even on the back here it says ages 10 and up, and I think that's 10 might be a little young, but I definitely think like this is a good read regardless. So my goal is to hopefully try and finish this book today. It's a big ask, but it is Memorial Day weekend, and I don't have a lot going on today. We're gonna try and knock this out. Let's do a quick reading montage in my little chair. Let's go. Alrighty, we are this far, 225 pages in. I have about 80 pages left. I think I can finish it today. I'm pretty confident I can. And we're gonna not go to bed until we finish it. It's a holiday weekend. I don't gotta work on Monday for once in my life, so we're gonna stay up all night if we have to. Currently, a lot of crazy stuff's happening in this. So the boy did escape. He learned how to fade in that store, and then he went back and he wasn't able to sell the brooch. He just returned it, but he ended up making a little headstone. They have a little drawn in here. That's the headstone that he ended up making. He decides he wants to try and go to school, but the whole time he goes to school, he's supposed to kind of basically not stand out, stay in the back, not be noticed, but he kind of struggles with that because he tries to stick up for people, re-empower the people that are kind of dealing with some bullies, and then the bullies kind of get upset with him, so now the bullies were trying to, mess with him, and then he had to use some of the tactics that he's learned from the graveyard, like scaring and spooking the kids into not messing with him. And then one of them has an uncle who's a police officer. The police officer grabs Bode and then tries to scare him back, essentially. It was like this weird, none of it's all been good. It's just kind of been all over the place a little bit for me personally. There's a lot of stuff that's happened in the 200 pages, and none of it's telling a real story. It's just kind of building out what type of person Bode is. And I'm hoping in these last 80 pages we get to why we should even care about who Bode is to begin with. So there goes that whole thing, and then he ends up not going back to school. And now Silas, the guy who's taking care of him, is gone, and we don't know why. We've had a couple references to Jack, but we haven't really gotten a detail as to why Jack was trying to kill him in the beginning of the book to begin with. We have a lot of unanswered questions, and not that much more content to go, so we shall see how it goes from here. I'm starting to wonder if I didn't have this YouTube channel, would I actually finish some of these books? And I'm not sure I would. And if I didn't finish some of these books, I would miss out on some of the amazing endings that happen from finishing some of these books. This book was kind of all over the place for most of the story. Like, I could track it. It wasn't like hard or difficult to track. I couldn't see how it was all going to connect. I couldn't understand like why anybody was important. And the ending was so good. If you have not read The Graveyard Book, I would highly recommend it. Just overall, really good story. I don't want to ruin the ending for you. The last 50 pages were just like, I couldn't put the book down. I just had to keep reading and it was 100% worth it. A lot of it comes full circle. One thing I didn't track throughout this is it brought up a lot of individual names and like years that they lived, and I wonder like if I were to go through and like look at these names, if those names of people, if they had something to do, like if they were linked together somehow. I know at the very end he did a acknowledgement of the Jungle Book, and I referenced earlier that I knew this was like based on the Jungle Book, so I wonder if some of those people were maybe people that had things to do with the Jungle Books or other great authors that he loved. Or I would just like to one day go through this book and look at all of the graveyard names and see like what their relevance were, because I feel like he was the kind of writer that would do something like that. If you have not read this book, highly recommend. I gave it a 4 out of 5 stars. Mostly because it would probably have been higher if it didn't take so long to finally understand the whole premise of the book. It was definitely interesting from the get-go. There was a lot going on. You had the murderer come in, and then you didn't realize what was all happening. But it just took a while to get into like, wait, okay, sure, I'm grabbed by what's going on, but why is this important? It took me a long time in the book before you got that answer, and then that's what kind of like, I probably wouldn't have finished it. Honestly, at 200 pages, I probably would have gave up because I was like, this is just taking forever. I'm thankful that I didn't, because I got to 250 pages and then the book got amazing. One of the better books I've read in a long time. So if you have not read it, The Graveyard Book by Neil Gaiman, highly recommend it. And until next one, love you guys. Peace.